Hi, this is Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D. for the Maoist Third Worldist Collective. I was reading an article in The Hill. Now, admittedly, The Hill is a right of center publication online, but I try to read a broad spectrum of materials to familiarize myself as a sociologist with these things. That goes back to the days before I retired, when if a student would ask me something and I didn't know about it, I would feel silly, And so I still had that habit of wanting to go back and look at things that are at least somewhat mainstream and find out what they are saying. Now, I'm not going to go to an Alex Jones site, for example. That I will simply ignore. I would occasionally have students ask me about, what do you think about this latest thing Alex Jones said? Or what do you think about this latest thing that Ike said, who believes that the world is run by lizard people? Well, in a case like that, or in cases like that, I would simply say, well, that's not really credible information, and this is a college class, and so we can. I would laugh, and I didn't look like I was putting the person down, even though I was. Uh, and so I really can't comment on something like that. That's not something I have any familiarity with. But here is the headline on the Hill. It's an opinion page. It says opinion campaign. And the article is entitled, Why Neither Biden Nor Trump Will Be the Next President. And most of the article focuses upon the arguments that have been made by Chris Christie. Why? Why Chris Christie? Why Chris Christie? Now, is Chris Christie a bad guy? I don't know. He's done some pretty bad things over the years, allegedly. He seems like a nice guy to talk with, nice guy to pal around with. But why somebody would write an article based almost entirely on what Chris Christie thinks of the next presidential election in the U.S. next year, I have no idea. But that's basically what this article is about. Why neither Biden nor Trump will be the next president. Okay, so if neither of them will be the next president, then who will be the next president? I scrolled down the article, and it says this leaves Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, and Vivek Ramaswamy on the Republican side because of Trump's precarious legal situation. Now, there's no mention in the article about Biden, other than the fact that he's getting pretty old. The older you get, the younger people who are in their late 70s feel, or even 80 feel. Considering I'm 67, I'll be 80 if I live that long, in 13 years, less than 13 years. And Trump is only 10 years older than me. Trump is 77. So he doesn't seem that old to me at all. Maybe that's my own bias, because I don't think of myself as being that old. But regardless, why neither of them will be president? The article gives no reason, which is typical of the Hill. If you want to find out for yourself, read an article in the Hill. It is an absolutely awful publication. It's somewhat slanted to the right, but it also doesn't really give any arguments on the right. It's really nothing. It seems like a worthless piece of cyberspace to me. So what do I make of it? I have no idea. I think that the best thing that anybody can do right now is say it is too early and I don't know. To write an article on why neither Trump nor Biden will be the next president right now, almost a year from the next election, is absurd. There hasn't even been a primary yet. There hasn't even been a caucus yet. So why even talk about these kinds of things? Why? Well, I can tell you why. It's because they want to get press coverage. They want to their what they say to be spread around. Look at what so and so in the Hill said, and then it spreads around, and then the Hill gets credit for coming up with a guess or a prediction, supposedly, for what's going to happen next year, even though it is completely nonsensical. Now, myself, I could care less whether Trump or Biden gets the nomination. I could care less whether any other candidate, mainstream candidate, gets the nomination. First of all, we all know that whoever wins, it will be a Republican or a Democrat. The United States is a duopoly. It is a two-party system. People have tried to challenge it over the years. Those challenges have very rarely been successful. Lincoln was successful. Lincoln was the first Republican. He started the Republican Party, and he won. So there's a case in point, a third-party candidate who won. Now, name me all the rest. That's the problem. We are truly a duopoly, and the chances of anybody else winning except a Republican or a Democrat are next to nothing. So again, I don't see why people are even paying attention to this thing. Look, I'm paying attention to it, so maybe I shouldn't be so critical, but I'm paying attention to it basically to try to debunk it. I just don't see why people would even care. First of all, Biden has been no gift with his support of Israel against Hamas. Not that Hamas is any great organization, but the Palestinians are innocent people, and most of the people who are dying are not in Hamas. They're just regular, ordinary people, including children who happen to live in this cramped area called the Gaza Strip. And what about Trump? Well, Trump may or may not be in prison this time next year, but even if he's in prison, he can still be elected president of the United States. Now, will he? I don't know. We've never been in a situation like this before. I would say that there is a possibility that even if Trump is in prison, he might get elected, or maybe he will get elected because he's in prison. Maybe that will fire up his base and drive his base to the polls, and people will say, "Well, to heck with all of these people in the government who are trying to kill the chances of a presidential candidate from winning. We are going to vote for Trump regardless." Okay, go ahead and do that. In that case, we will have, I guess, not a lawyer, but something that looks to me like a constitutional crisis, which means that the outcome would need to go into the Supreme Court, I assume. The Supreme Court, SCOTUS, would have to decide, what do we do? Well, I can give you my own amateur prediction, my own non-lawyerly prediction. That is that what the Supreme Court might do is say, okay, we'll let President Trump live in the White House for 4 years, whatever. Yeah, that's fine, 4 years. He can't be president legally for more than 4 years. But then after the 4 years are up, that's when his prison sentence will be. Yeah, right. That's going to happen. Trump will find some way of getting pardoned. If he can't pardon himself, He will, I think, resign early so that his vice president, whoever that is, will become president, maybe only for a week or two, and will pardon Donald Trump. Trump is not, if Trump wins the presidency, Trump is not going to prison. I can't imagine it. Can you? No, I can't imagine it. So I don't really know what will happen. To be perfectly honest with you, I also don't really care. What I care about are the people in Palestine. Okay? That's what I care about. I care about the people in Palestine and the people in other third world parts of the earth. Those are the people that I'm concerned about, their well-being. Who gets elected in the center of global capitalism? I would argue the most corrupt nation on the face of the earth, the US, politically corrupt. I don't care. I simply don't care. Now, you can argue I'm wrong. Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know. I might very well be mistaken. I have no way of knowing that. But I just don't see how Trump will be elected. I don't see how Biden will be elected, but they could be. And I would say that there is a good chance that that may happen, even though they can't. It's like a contradiction. They can't be elected, but they might. So what do you do with that? Point, there's nothing that we can say because we simply don't know. This has been Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D. Have a pleasant day and an even better day tomorrow.